Hello and welcome to another edition of Mexico News Network's Breaking News Business. I'm your host, Elliot Bullman. Let's start with today's show. There's an alternative that yields more returns than gold, government bonds or the dollar. And these are the fine wines. In the past 12 months, they've gained 14.2% in dollar terms against a yield on the US Treasury bond of 2.2% in the last 10 years. Thus, the LIVX Fine Wine 100 Index, which in the last 12 months has accumulated a 14.2% yield in the secondary market of London, which has become an attractive investment alternative. The most sought-after wine by investors this year is the Bordeaux Firsts Growths label, with the Lafite Rothschild being the most viewed and marketed. Chateau Lafite Rothschild has floral notes with a touch of roasted wood and a price in Mexico of 47,000 pesos a bottle. The wines are listed on the list of the 100 most expensive and are calculated monthly on the secondary market in London. The index takes into account the comments of the most important critics worldwide, and a committee determines the final listing. By comparison, if you'd invested in dollars last August when you saw it rise against the peso in the proximity of the electoral process in the United States, today you would have made a loss of 2.4%. The same thing is true to be said with gold. Its price in the last 12 months is 2.2% lower. Considered as an alternative to diversified portfolios, wine, in addition to tasting it, must be seen as a long-term investment. The LIVX index has accumulated gains of 25.5% over the last 10 years. In other news, diversifying Afore investment portfolios to raise returns and increase savings for retirement is one of Mexico's most critical priorities to improve its pension system. According to John Bowman, Managing Director for the Americas of the CFA Institute, he wishes to collaborate and help Mexico's financial authorities to create a better pension system. Bowman stressed that the most recognized institute in global finance and asset management wants to collaborate with Mexican authorities to work on its reform, which is urgent, he said. He believes that this will not occur before the 2018 elections, but he hopes it will be a priority for the new administration. Last week, the CFA Institute announced a collaboration agreement with the Mexican Association of Stockbrokers, AMIB, to raise the level of professionalism of the participants in the national financial markets. The agreement with AMIB was the second step in the process of deepening its relationship with Mexico, first when in June 2015 it signed a collaboration agreement with Banco de México and the National Commission for the Retirement Savings System, CONSAR. The next will be to reach agreements with private banks and asset management firms. Moving on, Mexico's IP stock market, bonds and the peso all regained ground on Friday after it was confirmed President Donald Trump's polarizing advisor Steve Bannon would depart the White House. Cheering broke out on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange as news of Mr. Bannon's exit spread. Three major indexes rebounded higher in mid-morning trading and were modestly up by early afternoon. Mr. Bannon, a right-wing nationalist, helped shape the America First message of Mr. Trump's election campaign. He also supported some of Mr. Trump's more radical economic positions. The removal of the conservative businessman and political activist has eased mounting tensions amongst investors. As a result of Bannon's dismissal, the Mexican peso recovered from initial losses last Friday to bounce back to 17.71 per dollar, up 0.71% from 17.84 pesos at Reuters reference price on Thursday, after it had hit its lowest level in a week. In the debt market, 10-year bond yields were down 2 basis points to 6.81%, as was the 20-year rate, which traded at 7.04%. As for the stock market, the benchmark S&P BMV IPC index was up 0.14% to 51,063.21 points, also driven by mining securities amid a spike in metal prices. This was all for today. Thank you for staying with us. I'm your host, Elliot Bullman. Remember to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Google+, and log on to MexicoNewsNetwork.com for more information on Mexico and the world. Until next time.